Hi, Carolyn Dube here. I'm here for an artsy-fartsy challenge that I do with Maria McGuire. We pick 3 things and then we have to use those 3 things any way we want in a project. And then we don't get to see what each other has made until it's revealed on our blogs. So for this challenge we had to use plaster, any stencil by Sue Pelletier, and portfolio crayons. So with this I decided to use some plaster gauze, which is used the old style of making a cast. You buy it in rolls, and it's called plaster gauze. And what I did is I've cut it into strips, and I'm putting it in the water, squeezing out or stretching the water off of it, and then just adhering it right onto the cover of a journal. Now this is a wet medium, so if what you're putting it on can't handle getting wet, it's probably not going to work. This will dry very hard, and it gives it a great texture. What I really wanted was texture, so I'm just kind of covering this all around. I'm letting it be bumpy. I am kind of sopping up some of the excess water because I am putting this on cardboard, so if it's too much water, it will eventually warp. So when I'm all finished, I dump the water outside. It's got a lot of plaster in it, and I don't want that going down the sink. Pulled out the portfolio crayons and some white acrylic paint. What I'm doing is kind of sealing the plaster at the same time as I'm adding a very soft background color. The portfolio crayons are water soluble, so when I'm rubbing in with the paint, it's like adding water to them, and they get all nice and smeary and soft. You can see all the great texture that's happening here. It's all dry now, and it's ready for me to pull out the stencil. This is a fabulous, fun stencil, but it had some parts on it that I didn't want to show up this time, so I just grabbed some artist tape, or any tape or repositionable tape will do this, and I'm just covering up any parts of the stencil that I don't want to show through. When I'm all done, I'll easily be able to pull this repositionable tape off and use them next time. So I've got the surface. It's not smooth. I think I want words over there, so I'm going to have her kind of hanging off the side. Get her positioned about where I want her. And then I'm going to get my acrylic paints ready. When I'm doing this, I am making sure I go straight up and down so it stays as best it can within the shape of the stencil. The reality is this plaster is really bumpy and textured, so it's not going to be a guaranteed smooth, perfect stencil image. Hey, did better than I thought. So now what I'm doing is just adding little bits of color, and then I'm spraying it with water. And what's happening is the texture of the plaster is catching that paint. So it's just adding a little bit more, making the texture pop out from the plaster. And now here comes my big oops. I wanted some words there. I did it in a Stabilo pencil. And you know what? I just didn't like it. So I took water and washed it out. This time I'm finishing up her bathing suit, giving her a little bit of color. I've got the twinkling H2Os over there that I've squirted with water, and that's just going to finish up with some extra color on it. The nice thing about this too is because twinkling H2Os are water soluble, so that if I really don't like this stuff, I can add more water and remove some color, and I can definitely build up layers of color with it. So now I just keep adding layers of colors and taking it on, taking it off, seeing what looks right to me. If it doesn't, then I just wipe it off. Twinkling H2Os, because they are water reactive, if I add water to them, I can remove some of it. So it's a very handy thing to experiment and play with. Really want those words on there, and these words ended up not going as planned. Here I'm doing it with acrylic paint, and I don't like them. Even if I darken it up, I still don't like it. I'm not really happy with my handwriting. Well, I decided to take that Stabilo pencil and outline my figure, give her a little bit more, and now it's back to those words. Thought if I added another color of acrylic paint I'd like them more, but no. These are becoming one giant oops. Not going as planned, and I'm not happy with where it is, but it's just going to become another layer. It's not good or bad, it's just not where I want yet. So, since I can't ruin it because I already don't like it, I can take my acrylic paint and just journal all over it and make a big old mess. Well, this big old mess was wonderful, but it was a little too dark, so I used some gesso to push it into the background. And all of a sudden, I was in heaven. I loved the layers and the subtleness that it built. Used a Posca glitter pen to add just a little bit more journaling to it here and there in little places. And then the silks are what really jumped to me to do the title. Grabbed some of that wonderful pinkish, purplish color and ended up putting the word right across the top. You're going to see it in a moment once I get happy with all the other colors around here and there. I never would have expected the way I did this title, the way it turned out, but I'm thrilled with where it turned out. Now, I did put a few words underneath the word run, and I wasn't really happy with them. I felt they jumped out a little too much, so I just dab a little off and then take a white Stabilo pencil over it to push it back a little bit, and now I am thrilled with it. So here it is. You can get a look at the texture and see the shimmer that comes from the twinkling H2Os. There were lots and lots of oops in here, but you know what? They're just an oops. Over on my blog, I have links to Maria's Artsy Fartsy and supplies used. Thanks for stopping by.